Hello, everyone. My name is Nelson Komba. Today, I'm excited to be hosting the InHive Global podcast. InHive is a global organization that believes in network building and bringing young people together for social change. Also, within the InHive Global, we have the Nexus platform that brings this conversation together for people to bring conversation on social change, especially when you talk about gender equality, when you talk about climate change, when you talk about youth development, you talk about education, and broadly in alumni engagement. We believe that alumni, when they're well engaged, they're able to create a lot of change in our society. And on this podcast, coming along the theme of the International Women and Girls in Science, we're having a conversation on how we can close the gender gap, especially in education, and we are looking at that in the lens of alumni engagement. How can alumni engagement, especially in higher educations of learning, how can they support in closing the gender gap, in STEM? And today in studio, I have an amazing guest who is going to talk to us about, in her perspective, how can alumni engagements be better framed or structured in institution of higher learning or any other engagement to ensure that they can be able to close the gender gap in STEM. Without much further ado, I'd like to welcome Damaris Wabui. You can introduce yourself and just let us know who you are and what you do.
Thank you so much, Nelson. My name is Damaris Wambui. I'm a wife and a mother to two beautiful children. I'm also a health profession. My professional background is in clinical nutrition, and I'm very happy to be here to be able to have this discussion with you today.
Great. Thank you so much and welcome to InHive. We are
Thank
pleased
you.
to host you today. Maybe just to start from the beginning, what is your earliest childhood memory that maybe sparked your interest in what you're doing now?
Well, my earliest childhood will be when my own dad will be away for a long period of time. He used to work with humanitarian organization with specific focus in South Sudan and Somalia. And he will come back home and tell us stories about those countries back then and how the challenges like food and development and how he poured himself into those projects, going to such places to provide support, really inspired even my own humanitarian need to fulfill. And so growing up, as I took this particular interest in nutrition, that was it. I knew coming in and I'm building myself with knowledge and expertise to help people in similar conditions, in similar challenges, in similar environments, to get access to food. And I know food might be something, a smaller perspective, but it builds onto a bigger foundation. If there's no food, definitely there's no development, there's no education, there's no equality, nothing else can stand.
Okay.
Yes.
I really like how you've connected with the story of your father, and that is quite profound. Thank you for sharing that. So Damaris, when we talk about STEM and women in STEM, all right, what really comes to your mind, especially when you look at the conversation around this theme, women and girls in STEM and trying to close the gender gap? What really comes in your mind when we hear this conversation?
I think when I hear this conversation at first when I was young, I used to think when we're talking about STEM, we are talking about women who are very, very um, focus driven. They have to put everything aside to build on their careers. But being in STEM has proved a different angle towards that. A woman in STEM is a woman who uses her knowledge, her expertise to build on other experiences and to also provide to the space that she's in, if it's science, if it's technology, if it's education, if it's health. And while doing that, they also build on themselves and on the people around them, supporting other people to also scale up to the place that they are in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe being a STEM woman is about.
Okay. there has been quite a lot of challenges around, getting girls to embrace STEM, and some of them stem from patriarchal, backgrounds that we've come from, that maybe women cannot do certain courses. Like, for instance, they cannot pursue, science-related, mathematics-related courses, Is that something you have experienced personally?
Well, if I can speak back on my education background, in my high school experience, we were particularly made to at least do 2 sciences, and the third science will be optional. So you had no backing out. When people think about sciences, they think they cannot do it. They think it's complex. They think it's hard. But when that need is pushed, especially in school, you have to. It's ultimately creates a confidence that you can actually do it. So for that, I'm thankful that I was able to do not just 2, but also 3, and gain courage. And also from that, extracurricular in computer science, especially in high school, also provided that push to know I can actually do it. And when you get the basics, you get everything, right? Now the curriculum might change, different from what I experienced, but I also feel like it's towards building a better environment for people and women and girls in STEM.
Okay. When I was in high school, the best subject for me for science was biology. I don't know why I liked biology, but I did score very well, but I didn't have a chance to continue that career in science. What was your favorite subject, like, for instance, in high school?
One, I would say chemistry.
Oh.
Personally, I'm someone who likes to know why.
Okay.
So when you tell me something is hard, I want to know why. I want to try. I want to ascertain for myself that it's hard and I couldn't do it. And most of the time, when I put my mind and focus to it, I actually was able to figure out it wasn't that hard. And I think that's the perspective I carry on towards even my future life and my career.
Okay. I mean, we haven't reached that equilibrium yet, where we have a lot of women in STEM. To be very quite frank, what do you think is still holding back a lot of young girls and women to embrace STEM-related maybe programs, courses, even in schools?
I will say this will all spark from our background and upbringing. What are the gender norms around technical subjects? Are we telling our young girls, you're more into creatives and design, which is not a bad space? Yes. Are we limiting them to careers that are more safe for them? And also, a question to parents and teachers, do we feel like STEM careers are very engaging such that in the future they will be able to clash with the even personal expectations? When you get to a certain age, you want to create a family, you want to also build on that. So gender norms, the idea that manufacturing, engineering is for men, technical skills are for young boys, and also I think being a mom to a young boy also, I get to experience how they're much more attuned to be curious and fearless. It's a natural instinct. But do we think that girls, as much as they don't portray that we can't empower them to still go for that? So gender norms, the idea that a specific space is for specific gender, can be the biggest challenge. And also, we live in a world where, as much as we also have access to it, there are places where access can be there, but there's marginalization, there is poverty. Does this young girl think of finishing her education first, or is she reaching a place and getting other sources of income first while her career stands on hold?
Okay.
Yes.
Looking back, my biology teacher was a woman, and she really motivated me to be who I am today. Did you feel like maybe female teachers have a role to play in guiding young, women and girls to embrace STEM?
Wow, I was in a girls' high school, and most of the
Mm,
subject teachers
mm,
in the sciences were men.
mhm,
But I will see how they'll pour out their knowledge
mhm,
and uh, they are their knowledge and their skill towards us
mm,
without any bias at all.
mhm,
There was never
mm.
you can do better or why am I even wasting time? They put it all in and they expected us to get it from the word go.
Mm,
So I think teachers do have a role to play.
mhm,
Having more women
mhm,
teachers
mm,
in such areas, careers of STEM,
mm.
will equally empower girls,
Okay.
yes, to feel and to know that, yes, I can do it because this is my inspiration standing before me.
Oh, great.
Yes.
All right. So as we advance this conversation a little bit, there's one thing, someone picking a subject, like for instance, you want to do STEM, but when you go to higher institution of learning, for instance, universities, you meet a lot of realities on the ground. There are certain STEM courses that are quite long to complete. That's like 6, no, 7 years for you to have
Yes.
completed a STEM course. Maybe reflecting at your own journey at the university, as you choose the course, what are some of the realities that you actually found about you as a woman, picking STEM?
Um, well, my course wasn't that long,
Mm-hmm,
as it was a traditional 4 years course
mm-hmm,
in a Bachelor's of Science in Food Nutrition and Dietetics.
mm-hmm,
So that wasn't a hindrance.
mm-hmm,
Yes, you've said it some takes years,
mm-hmm,
and you can find that probably you'll find the same person enrolling in campus
mm-hmm,
to study, let's say, medicine, engineering. They've already had years of, they're already had to take so long to even finish their high school experience, probably because of inadequate resources. So for that person getting to campus at 20 and already putting their timings like at 26 I need to have a family, and here you have a 6-year course like medicine engineering, that can really prove to be a bit hectic for them, because you feel like will I still get the education and also the family, the work experience going on for me by the time I'm 30 or 34. So that's also something that can easily discourage someone from exploring such spaces in STEM careers.
All right. Reflecting at your own education, behind the scenes, you told me you went to, is it KU?
Yes, Kenyatta University.
Kenyatta University. How was your experience at the university?
My experience at Kenyatta University was very good. I was able to create a very good network of peers who share the same passion in food, nutrition, and dietetics,
Mm-hmm,
who even in their careers now stand out. And in the course unit, I can say it was it leaned more towards more girls and young women studying.
mm-hmm,
And I also figure because nutrition sounds more like a caregiving
mm-hmm,
course, but it's not so. There's a lot of research that goes into it. There's a lot of abstract writing. There's a lot of knowledge and skill that you still need to translate, even in clinical spaces, in clinical spaces, in your mentorship, in your training. And so it's not as easy as it looks. Yes. So my experience was very great. I couldn't complain. Yes.
Oh, great. So at the university, of course, I want to believe you were looking forward to practice after you studied. In your experience, maybe looking at the opportunities that are within that space, and the prospects of maybe getting an employment after that. Um, Looking and reflecting at that time when maybe you're looking for attachment, you're looking for internship, maybe to complete part of maybe your practicum. Um, How was the setup like for girls like you in the university? How will you describe that entire process for you?
Um, Education is one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but stepping into clinical experience, as you say, uh, job training or internship or locum is a completely different experience. You have to go out and search for the opportunity yourself. Whereas, yes, it builds your courage and your determination, and it also helps you to explore the possible alternatives you have in terms of networking and jobs that are available. Um, it was a learning experience for me personally, and I got to see where my skills would much more apply apart from just clinical areas like hospitals. Yes, it can be applied in manufacturing, food industries. Yes, in research stations. And for me, it was an experience that taught me about networking, about getting to know people, establishing connections, because your peers can even refer you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's an internship open at this place, you
Mm-hmm.
can come and try it out. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it really helped to build meaningful connections and experiences.
Okay. All right. So, as we talk about that, you've talked about something very important about
Yes,
peers opening up opportunities for you, and even doing mentorship, and holding your hand for you to succeed in that space. Because there's one thing opening up opportunities for women and girls in STEM, and for them to get training, but it's another thing for them getting real opportunities where they can
yes,
earn income, and to actually prove that it's worth it for women and girls to be in this space. And so for me, I'm also curious to understand how alumni networks can help in this. So in your opinion, you feel like in your institution we had maybe structured alumni engagement that could support a lady like you to easily find opportunities as you finish the program?
to be frank, I wouldn't say there were clear alumni network structures to support
Mm-hmm.
someone like me in a STEM field. I had to rely more on peer networks and engagements.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, I feel like it could be different and it could be better.
Mm-hmm.
When looking for internship opportunities, job opportunities, it will be much better if there's a strong presence of alumni that reach out to students and young graduates in schools to give them a helping hand. We all know the seasons where people go apply for internship. It's in the long holidays, yeah. So it will be better for alumni networks within their own job spaces to create such opportunities for people to, young graduates, to especially women and girls in STEM, to come in and get train, to learn on the job, and eventually they even pour out their own experience and knowledge in the job spaces.
Okay. From the institution, maybe, and from your networks, do you have a woman who has motivated you in that space?
Yes, I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in in my campus experience, I used to look forward to my lecturers. Some of them have great publications. Some of them have written the nutrition manuals that are used by the government of Kenya. So for me, looking up to them provided a future perspective of what I could aspire to be. That my contribution is not just limited in my area of work, like clinical setup, but also in government publication, in advocacy, in policy, in creating new information that even younger generations, younger women in STEM who are still learning can be able to learn from.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. In your perspective, and maybe you can share a story as you finished your program at school. What are some of the challenges that women and girls in STEM face when they are transitioning out of the university?
I will say,
Mm-hmm.
when transitioning out of university, when finding job opportunities, one of the challenge will be getting job opportunities where you have to rely on your peers, you have to rely on people who are professionals already working in the field. And I I felt like there was a lack of connection between professionals in the field and providing spaces for young women to engage in or to even connect to in the profession and even in that area. I feel like there needs to be a stronger link that ties two and two together. Yeah, especially for women and girls.
Mm. If today you were to talk to address your alumni association today and tell about your experience, what will you tell them that maybe that will have helped you in being quite frank in your transition out of school? What will you tell your alumni association? Maybe what they will have done, maybe, for instance.
I would say we need to build stronger mentorship.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mentorship does not mean that you know much more than the person you're mentoring. When you mentor a young person, when you provide them those job opportunities linkage, you ultimately build up an even stronger ecosystem. In reference to Western countries, whereby they have good and very strong networking opportunities through their, we can say, fraternities, where they're able to build connections. Yes. And I will say we need to build much more structured and well-sustained alumni networks to offer mentorship to young people if you are to each contribute to the space in STEM as women and girls.
Mm-hmm. That's a very strong point because mentorship has actually opened a lot of opportunities and even just given direction. Maybe if you can add something to that, when someone is completing the program, for instance, in maybe you said you did dietetics nutrition, maybe others are completing in medicine, others are doing other programs. Why is mentorship critical at that stage where someone is transitioning from school? And why is it important to come from an alumni, for instance?
Mentorship can build or destroy the hope of the younger generation. And I'm saying this passionately. Recently, I came across a LinkedIn post. It was a young girl. She was raising a concern about how it's hard to get opportunities, especially since she is a medicine graduate, so she's a young doctor. She was narrating how it is very difficult for her to get experiences in the field of medicine, especially in the private areas where she has to put long working hours with low pay. And in institutions, in different setups, opportunities are hard to come by. Looking at that post, I was able to reflect if at least, yes, a female doctor who has gone through that path and they're well established, if they could see that post and reach out to that young girl, it will build a very interesting connection whereby for this young girl in retrospect in future, she'll able to pull 2 or 3 more people and guide them and give them guidance on what to do in terms of navigating spaces, just to build their confidence. It takes a lot of emotional toil to study medicine, emotional, financial, psychological, all the above. And for you to come out at the end and find you are on your own, it's a very scary place to be in. So for me, I feel like it's very important that we reach back and support in whatever way we can.
Okay, that's quite profound. Thank you for sharing even that story with us. Looking at the university as a whole, in your own perspective, how can they work with alumni, maybe like yourself, in just strengthening the relationship to ensure that maybe the alumni engagement systems are working better? Alumni who are transitioning from school, they can find support from those that are already in that field, because I want to believe in that space of STEM, for instance, from the university that you studied in, you've got a lot of profound, like you mentioned, women who are doing quite a lot of work in the society. How can the university leverage some of these alumni, to come back maybe to the institution and inspire young women and maybe share even career paths that they can follow?
I want to say something. Probably it might sound outrageous, but it's very practical. I said I research a lot. So recently, as I was looking at an organization in the UK, I saw whereby they are calling on young psychologists to be able to study. And after they've studied, they have 3 years of offering their skills to a particular institution. So it's conditional. They have to offer 3 years of worth of experience because they are supported. So how about we create funding whereby we're able to bring back alumni already in the corporate space, create necessary funding, because you don't want to call someone for internship and you don't even have something to give them. Yeah, they need transport, they need fare, they need just something to sustain themselves, to give them that dignity. And you'll find that women and girls who've come from marginalized places, they definitely want opportunities where they can get something at the end of the day to take care of their basic needs. And if it's not available, they're more likely to skip such opportunities for even other roles that might be significantly different from what they have studied or what their profession is.
All right. And I think you've mentioned an important point around funding. Maybe if you reflect at your own journey as well as you are transitioning, looking for employment, were there any structured support system that you find maybe from your institution that you can reference on, that maybe other people can learn, and maybe they were just geared towards alumni engagement?
My alumni had a very strong my university experience, there was a strong alumni engagement, especially around the field that I studied, with a lot of peer-to-peer referrals. And I think that's really helped me in terms of finding my footing in the career that I am in right now. So for me, I'll say universities need to build so much structures on alumni engagement and not just focus on education and teaching, but also on leveraging how to network young graduates, young students with the alumni that have been. Yes, we have to find that link, that coordination, that strengthening. It's the same as the way these days we have AI and we have to upskill. How about bringing a new skill in terms of networking as a course, as club, as an extracurricular that you have to prove and showcase, just to say that you have the right skills to survive in the new environment that you're about to jump in.
In your perspective, do you feel like maybe lack of mentorship in programs, lack of these structured systems, it inhibits young women and girls to advance in the career? Maybe they can go choose other careers even after studying?
Well, definitely. Also in campus, you'll find that away from education and studies, there are also interests that you tend to pick along the way. And in particular, you find that young girls and women, they also gear towards having families. And you'll find that after some space, probably you find after graduation, some were able to have children. And so for them, it's difficult to bridge how to raise their children while grow their career. So you find that some decide to put a stop to their career growth and decide to raise children and eventually get back to the field of career, which might be quite after some years. So with mentorship, it will be very important for them to see that you can juggle between work and life. It doesn't have to mean that one has to stop and another has to continue.
Mhm. I think as we go forward, I think one thing that's becoming clear in this conversation is that there's need for structured alumni engagement to support women and girls in STEM, just so that we're able to close that gender gap.
Yes.
Today, if you are advising, there's someone from KU University, Strathmore University, USIU University, in some of these universities, we actually worked with them to come up with alumni engagement strategies. If you're advising them from the point of, looking for opportunities and even just trying to transition, what are some of the key things you tell them that they should try and put in their alumni engagement strategies that can help women and girls, to advance in their careers?
One, mentorship is a space that we really can't ignore. As young adults, we always look up to those ahead of us. So as much as people are growing in their careers, they really need to also support those who are coming behind them. I will also encourage them to build meaningful structures of peer-to-peer engagement, encourage more and more societies that can have influence in terms of growth. I wouldn't say, and I would also, in retrospect, make networking and job careers and job fairs and alumni engagements as frequent as it can, make it more impactful. Just like we have talent weeks that pull out so much crowds, we should make alumni engagements, job fairs, career expos. Let's host trade expos even within the uh, university spaces. We have big facilities and theaters, yes. And as you're doing so, you're creating now the structure that needs for us to create much better networks within the universities.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I mean, that is for, of course, the university. What about the alumni like yourself, or the alumni who, of course, they have been trying to do some of this? I think we have had alumni who are going back to universities to talk about their experiences and growth. I think, what will you tell to other alumni like yourself to do in trying to support women and girls, okay, in this STEM?
I would say do not hold back from mentoring young girls and women. Do not hold back from offering them guidance and career advice. And also pour out yourself, yes. Don't ever feel like there's a competition between you and someone younger, because I think that's also something that holds people back. You might feel that someone might get the skills they need, but I feel like people have different perspectives and eventually they can build towards something bigger and better. As from my experience, I've mentored young girls in my field, in my space, and we are still in good connection. If there are opportunities, if there are projects, if there are engagements, I can actually rely on them to deliver and do a much recommendable job. I think as a professional, having a network itself proves even your worth, yes. Because as you're growing, if you are a leader tomorrow in these spaces, you need a team that you can rely on. And so these networks, these mentorships, this guidance can even prove to support you much more in future leadership roles in these spaces.
Mhm. Great. And maybe even as we go towards the close of this conversation, and looking back on the discussion that we've just had about the value, of having alumni engagement support, close the gender gap in STEM. In your own opinion, do you feel like the gender gap is closing?
I will say yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
For people within spaces where they're able to get financial support, parental support, they have much more better opportunities. We also need to look at from people who come from backgrounds where there's financial challenges, marginal areas, displaced communities, refugees. Are they also living up to the expectations that we want? Do we have, in retrospect, do we have women and girls from such areas also stepping into spaces of STEM and exceeding in their careers? So we might have one area where the gender gap is closing, but in a different set of circumstance, we might have that it's actually not working as you would want it to.
Okay. Looking at your journey, what should development stakeholders do more of? We are celebrating the commemoration of the International Women and Girls in STEM and even in science. What should be done to support women and girls to advance more in this space?
We can create more specific funding opportunities for women and girls in STEM. We can create more opportunities for mentorship. I know we have graduate trainee programs. We can have a specific percentage of it go towards women and girls in STEM, especially from marginalized communities. We can put our weight behind women-led programs that are in STEM also, increase their funding, because most of this, you'll find that at least 1% of women, of funding goes to women who are in STEM. So this is also a gap that you can close in. And as development partners also, how does your management table look like? We also see a very sharp decline in terms of leadership for women in STEM. Yes. So are we closing that gap? Are we putting more women on the table that will mirror and reflect and provide inspiration for young girls also who want to sit on decision tables?
Great. Thank you so much. I want you to look at the camera and give an advice to a young lady who is deciding to go into STEM in their subject, and just give them a word of advice and based on your own experience.
I will say be fearless. I'm confident that so many women in STEM are doing amazing things. Some of them I also look up to. Your contribution matters. You are not less just because you are from marginalized areas. You should go for it. You should not stutter. When you put that focus, go for it and achieve it. Getting the first step in is what matters. Eventually, everything with focus, with determination, everything always falls into place. Be relentless. That's all I'll say.
Well, thank you so much, Damaris, for this profound opportunity to talk to you about this amazing topic. And for sure, this has been an amazing conversation. And I've picked a lot of learnings from this. And I think going forward, even for the universities, for alumni engagement organizations, they were going to pick a lot of lessons from this conversation. And thank you so much for even coming to this podcast. Thank you
For hosting me also and providing me a platform to bring this to light.
Oh, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been a great conversation, and we are glad that you're able to listen up to this particular moment. We'll be bringing more and more of this conversation because we believe that they are important, and they're important because young people need change, and they also need an opportunity to grow and and also add value to the society. And at InHub Global, we believe that networks are important when it comes to creating change in our societies. And this is not the end of the conversation. We want to make sure that we continue this conversation in our Nexus global platform. It's actually available. You can create an account and join an interest group in the Nexus global platform. It's also available on mobile phones. And this conversation doesn't stop there. We have conversation in the discussion forums, and you've got other events that you can continue to participate in our Nexus platform that we have developed just for you. So I need you to go and create an account and join and be part of this important conversation going forward. That is it for now, but we also have another podcast that is coming along the way, so be sure to check all our platforms. We'll be posting on our LinkedIn platform, on our Facebook platform, on our Instagram, and even on our X platform. It has been an amazing time to have this conversation with you, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.
Financial challenges, marginal areas, displaced communities, refugees, are they also living up to the expectations that you want? Do you have, in retrospect, do you have women and girls from such areas also stepping into spaces of STEM and exceeding in their careers? So we might have one area where the gender gap is closing, but in a different set of circumstance, we might have that it's actually not working as you would want it to.
Okay. Looking at your journey, what should development stakeholders do more of? We are celebrating the commemoration of the International Women and Girls in STEM and even in science. What should be done to support women and girls to advance more in this space?
We can create more specific funding opportunities for women and girls in STEM. We can create more opportunities for mentorship. I know we have graduate trainee programs. We can have a specific percentage of it go towards women and girls in STEM, especially from marginalized communities. We can put our weight behind women-led programs that are in STEM also, increase their funding, because most of this, you'll find that at least 1% of women, of funding goes to women who are in STEM. So this is also a gap that you can close in. And as development partners also, how does your management table look like? We also see a very sharp decline in terms of leadership for women in STEM. Yes. So are we closing that gap? Are we putting more women on the table that will mirror and reflect and provide inspiration for young girls also who want to sit on decision tables?
Great. Thank you so much. I want you to look at the camera and give an advice to a young lady who is deciding to go into STEM in their subject, and just give them a word of advice and based on your own experience.
I will say be fearless. I'm confident that so many women in STEM are doing amazing things. Some of them I also look up to. Your contribution matters. You are not less just because you are from marginalized areas. You should go for it. You should not stutter. When you put that focus, go for it and achieve it. Getting the first step in is what matters. Eventually, everything with focus, with determination, everything always falls into place. Be relentless. That's all I'll say.
Well, thank you so much, Damaris, for this profound opportunity to talk to you about this amazing topic. And for sure, this has been an amazing conversation. And I've picked a lot of learnings from this. And I think going forward, even for the universities, for alumni engagement organizations, they were going to pick a lot of lessons from this conversation. And thank you so much for even coming to this podcast. Thank you.
For hosting me also
Mhm.
and providing me a platform to bring this to light.
Oh, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been a great conversation, and we are glad that you're able to listen up to this particular moment. We'll be bringing more and more of this conversation because we believe that they are important, and they're important because young people need change, and they also need an opportunity to grow, and and also add value to the society. And at InHub Global, we believe that networks are important when it comes to creating change in our societies. And this is not the end of the conversation. We want to make sure that we continue this conversation in our Nexus global platform. It's actually available. You can create an account and join an interest group in the Nexus global platform. It's also available on mobile phones. And this conversation doesn't stop there. We have conversation in the discussion forums, and you've got other events that you can continue to participate in our Nexus platform that we have developed just for you. So I need you to go and create an account and join and be part of this important conversation going forward. That is it for now, but we also have another podcast that is coming along the way, so be sure to check all our platforms. We'll be posting on our LinkedIn platform, on our Facebook platform, on our Instagram, and even on our X platform. It has been an amazing time to have this conversation with you, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.